topic today is automated traffic signal performance measures. And our speakers are Chris and Sasha with Miovision. So I just have a couple of announcements to go over first, and then I'll turn it over to them. First of all, is there anyone here from the Central California section who wishes to make any announcements on behalf of their section?
Hi, Kevin. This is Nick Karcha. I'm the VP. Brian's on vacation. He couldn't make it. President. But yeah, I just wanted to thank our members for anyone that's attending, and to thank the Bay Area section for hosting this, having us. Glad to be your neighbors geographically, and look forward to collaborating with you more in the future. And definitely looking forward to the great presentation today.
Excellent. Thanks, Nick. Yes, and we're looking forward to further joint meetings with you into the new year. For ourselves, we have two upcoming meetings for December. We will be doing a in-person happy hour. Location so far to be determined, most likely will be in Oakland. That'll be December 15th at 5 p.m. And then our next general meeting will be January 19th at noon. That'll be evacuation planning and Assembly Bill 747, which adds a evacuation and safety element to the general plan process. And that'll be with Bob Grandy at Fair and Pierce. We also have elections currently ongoing. Voting closes today at, or not today, closes on December 1st at 5 p.m. And then on that topic, we'll go ahead and give each of the candidates running for this election a chance to give statements on their behalf. And so we'll start with our secretary position, who currently there is one candidate, Terrence, with Fair and Pierce. So Terrence, if you'd like to go ahead and here, I'll stop sharing. If you'd like to share a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, thanks so much, Kevin. Hey, everyone, my name is Terrence Zhao. As Kevin mentioned, I currently work for Fair and Pierce in the Walnut Creek office, and I live in Oakland, and I've been in the Bay Area for, almost 8 years now since school. Most of my work centers around roadway safety, and now more recently, evacuation planning, and really just very appreciate the sort of community that ITE is able to build, and want to do my part in serving that and working to better that.
Excellent. Thanks, Terrence. We'll move on to Ashley, who is our current secretary and is running for our treasury position. Ashley?
Hi all, my name is Ashley Takushi, and I'm the secretary this year on the board. I'm hoping to be treasurer next year. Looking forward to having more in-person meetings and seeing you all. Just as a background for myself, I also work at Fair and Pierce in our Walnut Creek office, actually sharing an office with Terrence. I also do a lot of roadway safety work and safety evacuations, so excited to continue on next year. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Ashley. And our candidate running for next year's vice president position is our current treasurer, Charmin Sala, who I'm not currently seeing at today's meeting. I know sometimes she has lunchtime conflicts, but if you'd like to read her bio, it is in our emails as they come through. And so then lastly, I'll turn it over to myself. I'm Kevin Carsons. I'm our current section vice president. I'm running for next year's president. I am a traffic engineer with WTrans here in Oakland. I've been serving the section since 2017 as scribe, treasurer, secretary, and now as vice president. And I'm eager to continue my participation into next year and just keep planning events. I'd like to start doing some in-person events. I'd like to re-engage. We have an appointed board that hasn't been doing a whole lot the past few years. I'd really like to get them reactivated. I'd like to engage our student membership, and I'd like to also engage our membership outside of the 9-county Bay Area, because technically we go all the way down to Monterey County and all the way up to the Oregon border. But the overwhelming majority of our activity is just within the 9-county Bay Area. And that's a little bit about myself. And so I'll go ahead and go back to sharing my screen just to wrap off our last couple of announcements. Is there anyone here from the Western District who has any announcements they'd like to make on behalf of the Western District? Hearing none, I'll go ahead and move on. So we always like to start our meetings with just a quick icebreaker. If you have any atypical or kind of weird and wacky intersections you've come across in the theme of today's presentation, please feel free to share them into chat. And if we have any good ones, I'll go ahead and call on you to share a little bit about those. While people are perhaps typing that up, I have two I'll go ahead and share. The first one is the intersection of San Pablo and Hines in Berkeley. This is an interesting intersection where you have a driveway on one of the legs where these little signs say trucks press button for the green light. Just because I guess if you're sitting here for hours and then you suddenly need to leave, there's not really a good way to kind of call the signal. So instead you just push you get the green. And then the second one I'll go ahead and share while we're waiting for any other contributions is here at Fremont and Harrison in San Francisco. I always thought the signal was a little bit interesting because it's a red ball, yellow flashing ball, which is a little atypical, but when you think about it, it's because you have a one-way coming towards the camera in this direction. And you can't give a left arrow and you can't give a right arrow because that'll conflict with these PED movements. So unless you have a PED exclusive phase, you can't give arrows, and you don't want to give a green ball because you don't want people to drive straight. And this is actually a freeway off ramp. You don't want them to go on the freeway the wrong way. So I guess a flashing yellow ball it is instead. So do we have any other weird and wacky intersections? Anyone would like to contribute before we go ahead and get started? Going once, twice. All right, hearing none, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Chris at Miovision. Thanks for in advance for the presentation.
No problem,
today.
Kevin. And if I had known you were going to ask that, I would have totally had some East Coast answers for you. So my name is Chris Cassani. I'm the account executive for Miovision. I live in Arizona. I moved out to Arizona a little over a year ago from the East Coast. Prior to joining Miovision, I was actually or San Francisco. We had all kinds of activity, both locally. We had a lot of bedroom community for the city. And when I took over my role, when you're given a mandate, it's pretty fun to obviously see the project from start to finish. So I joined Miovision a little over a year ago, like I said, and I cover California, Arizona, and Nevada. We were so grateful to be able to be here today through our really, I would say, our strong partnership with Lauren, formerly of San Rafael. Miovision has a number of customers in the Bay Area. Certainly the work we did with San Rafael has been a really strong way of leveraging all the things that Miovision does, including our recent GTT cloud-based project there in San Rafael. But SPMs really have been a huge focus for Miovision in the Bay Area. Miovision acquired a company called Trafop, and Sasa Mitrovic is on the call and will really be kind of presenting sort of that case study and sort of CEO of SPMs here in a moment. But San Ramon got to know Trafop, South San Francisco, San Rafael, Pleasanton. And then we're doing some work with Sacramento right now. So there's a lot of things that are happening with Miovision. What we try to be, and what Miovision always was to me when I was a customer, was a company that made continual investments in what it did. And I think that the spirit of what we're trying to do here would be that we want everything that we do to continue to get better, to be more efficacious, to be more useful, to be more forward thinking. So with that, I will turn things over to Sasha. Sasha was the founder of Trafop, and he'll get into sort of what Trafop does, how it works, and sort of how it can be leveraged in a variety of examples. And I can certainly chime in with how I've used it, but I'll turn it over to Sasha.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Sasha Mitrovic, and I'm one of the co-founders of Trafop, which got acquired by Miovision. So I've been a part of Miovision for a year and a half. My name is not spelled S-A-S-H-A, but that's how it's pronounced. But anyways, I've been in traffic, and I'm a software engineer by background, but I've been in the traffic industry for more than 15 years, and I've seen build adaptive systems and ATMS systems, and the last 5 years I've solely focused on ATSPMs. So just a little bit about Miovision and the Trafa product within Miovision. Miovision has been in business for 17 years. Our team, the Trafa team, specializes in development of ATSPMs and their adoption. Our solution is currently collecting data from 5,000 signals across the country. We have small cities from 20 signals all the way to some large deployments where we have 1,000 signals on the system. We're also contributors to the open source system. This is what some of our customers are talking about. Our system is Traffic is currently gold standard for traffic performance analytics. This is City of Charlotte. Traffic excels in data visualization and ease of use, and very impressed with your work. So we have a lot of experience with deploying ATSPMs and using them all over the country. I'm just going to start off with talking a little bit about ATSPMs. I think that everybody on this call is probably very well familiar with ATSPMs, but I'll just give some high-level overview of why they're so valuable, in my opinion. We, are talking to a lot of agencies, and we're all over the country, and agencies are putting a lot of great devices, and there's more and more technology to signals being added all the time. That's great, but that technology, one of the things that was lacking until recently was signal performance really relied on anecdotal evidence. And ATSPM solved that problem. ATSPMs is a lot of data that is collected from intersections and telling you how that technology is working at your signal. And it really enables data-driven decision-making for traffic engineers, which I'm really passionate about. And I've, at one point in time, helped agency with 3,000 signals and 15 traffic engineers. And that was one thing that we really missed at the time. This was 10 years ago. We weren't making data-driven decision. We were using anecdotal evidence and making very reactive decisions. We wanted to be more proactive, but technology at the time didn't allow us that. So signal performance metrics, ATSPMs, they're really, it's a movement, but it's really, it went into systems that are built to measure operational performance. And I love analogies. I like to tell stories. I'm going to tell you a story. So I moved to Arizona from Florida 5 years ago. And in my house, I got a really high power bill. And I, talked to a few people, and they said it's probably your air condition. In Arizona, it gets really hot. That is the, number one thing that uses electricity in Arizona. But that is anecdotal, and I wanted to be more data-driven. So I bought this device that goes into electric panel, and it's basically an ATSPM for your house. Just like ATSPMs are for the signals, this device provides 1 million data points of high resolution usage of your house. And it tells you exactly which devices in the house use how much electricity. It tells you how efficient they are. And it really enabled me to understand what is going on, make changes that reduce my bill. And it was an air condition. So if I spend a lot of money on air condition, I would have been out of a lot of money. It was completely something else, but it enabled that. What I'm talking about is data-driven decision-making, okay? So what is it that ATSPMs provide? And I'm gonna put a lot of words, but we're gonna go through it one by one. So continuously available data. Data that is comparable across entire system. Automated alerts for maintenance operational issues, and shareable reports that summarize the impact of maintenance operational activities. So that all sounds really good, but what does that really mean in reality? So let's look at the first one, continuously available data. In 2020, we had an unprecedented event with the pandemic, and pretty much overnight, the traffic just disappeared from our streets. Everybody was locked in their house. A lot of agencies were having to report on the impact that that is having. How's traffic gone down? How is it coming back? What is going on? So if you look at ATSPMs, they have reporting for that kind of stuff. So here is an example of one of the signals for the whole of year 2020. And you can see January 1st to December 15th, and the blue line is a weekly volume average. And the line behind it is the actual week by week volume for the signal. So you can see that in about March, the traffic had dropped almost 50%. Half of the traffic disappeared from the streets. And then you can see when it started coming back pretty much around end of April and continued to come back. And then you can see here the delay per vehicle that was high, dropped, and then went back up. So not only can you see how the volume dropped, an interesting thing is now we're looking from March 1st to April 29th. And what is this is showing is showing volume from 12 a.m. to midnight for all of the days between March 1st and April 26th. Red is high volume, green is low volume. So what you can notice is not only has the traffic dropped, it totally eliminated the AM peak. And when the traffic started coming back, it started coming back first on Fridays, and the AM peak hasn't come back until this year, which is, you know, now looking back, a lot of people started working from home and didn't have to go to work at 8 a.m. But it's really interesting to see that in data. So that is an example of continuous data. Another thing that you can notice, which is important for ATSPM performance because it measures the operational performance, is that you see the traffic in April dropped, but the average vehicle delay jumped. So we have 50% more cars, but the cars that are there are waiting longer at the traffic lights. And that is because the traffic, the signal wasn't retimed to account for the completely different traffic flow. So data that is comparable across the entire system. Let's look at an example of that. You know, in a city, you will have different controllers at different intersections. You will have different detection at different intersections. You will have a different way you're running signals. Some will be free, some will be coordinated. You will have some that are running timing plans and some that are running adaptive. But in the end of the day, you really want to compare on a common baseline of how well they're doing. So let's look at an example of how you would compare adaptive signal operation during COVID. So we're going to first look at an example of a signal running TOD plans during COVID. And this is a dashboard that shows signal performance metric all together. So the first card shows you traffic volume. The second card shows the total delay. And the third card shows average vehicle delay. And you can see that a signal, this is from March 9th, 2020 to April 5th, 2020, had 1 million cars. And you can see that the trend is downward trend. So the cars week to week as the pandemic is taking hold, volume is dropping. The total delay is also dropping because total delay is impacted by how many cars you have and how long they're waiting. But look at the third card on this signal. The average vehicle delay is actually increasing, even though we have 50% less card. And if you heard me a little bit earlier, I said that the signal was not retimed, even though the traffic flow completely changed. So it was not optimized for the traffic flows that are now in pandemic. The cars are not going to work. They might be going grocery shopping. They're not moving maybe in northbound, southbound. That was primary. There's much more demand on the side street. So the whole flow change, which since the timing wasn't changed, increased the average vehicle delay. Now let's look at the signal running TOD plans during COVID. Very similar signal. This is a different signal, but about 1.7 million cars, so more cars in the same period. The traffic volume dropped, the total delay dropped, the average vehicle delay dropped also, because the adaptive system adjusted to the changing flows in traffic. Anybody have a question or? Okay. Anyways, so now, even though we have two different signals with two different controller types, we were able to compare how well they're doing and prove that adaptive signal actually, and this is a totally different manufacturer's adaptive system, is actually working and is making adjustments to make traffic, to adjust to that traffic. Okay, so that is data that is comparable across the entire system. So in the next one, we're going to talk about is shareable reports that summarize the impact of maintenance and operational activities. So I'm going to tell you about a pet crossing example. Here is a dashboard that we were looking at. We always look at the data from our customers and analyze it. And what we notice, this is showing you 4 consecutive Saturdays. The first card here is volume. The volume didn't change that. There was a little bit more volume on the first Saturday, but the total delay was much, much higher. And average vehicle delay was way, way higher than all the other Saturdays. One of the things that sticks out here is that there was many pet actuations on the first Saturday, and pretty much no other activations any other time. So we found this very odd, and we reached out to the traffic engineer in the city, and he sent us this picture. So we are suspecting that it's something with pets. He sent us this picture. So this is the picture of the traffic management center and the intersection that we're looking at. It is a NASCAR stadium, and it was a race day. And this is showing you the actual system in action where they're monitoring the impact of the people coming to the race and leaving to the race. And now they're able to measure the impact. They're able to take the baseline, see what they're going to do next year, how they would change it, and then measure year over year the performance of that corridor around the stadium. One more, this was a citizen complaint. A citizen noticed strange behavior on his daily route. So he every morning goes to work, and he noticed that he's being stopped, and there was nobody on the side streets, and he's getting stopped at 5 or 6 in the morning. If you look at the ATSPMs, you can see that phases 4 and 8, which are side streets, are getting cold the whole night. If you look at the split monitor, this is one of the performance metric charts. It's showing you that 4 and 8 are forcing off at night. And then if you look at the raw data for detector 8, you can see that it's getting stuck at night. Stuck for 66 minutes, stuck for 30 minutes, stuck for 31 minutes. So obviously there is a broken detector here well, it's not broken yet, but it's breaking. And it's causing this issue at night and not at any other time of the day. So if you send the technicians during the day, they come in, everything is working fine. But at night, this loop is really getting messed up. Usually that's could have something to do with humidity at night. This is close to the coast, a particular signal. Anyways, that example takes us to the next thing we're going to talk about, which is automated alerts for maintenance or operational issues. So we send the surveys to our customers, and not only to our customers, but to all of the agencies that are in United States. And one of the things that that we noticed in the surveys is that although useful ATSPMs, they're either difficult to use or require too much time. And if you look at my examples, previous examples, where I took you through some operational examples of being able to see data, you can see that a lot of data, you can analyze things, which could be useful, but you have to learn a lot of charts, where to look for things. Similar thing, this is McDOT in Arizona. They have found that, have seen a lot of success in use of ATSPM system, but some areas for improvement for ATSPM systems is low levels at which most metrics are reported. We need to orient performance measures towards specific tasks. We need initial training to bring TMC operators and other signal up to the speed on using metrics. So while very useful to have a lot of data, it requires a lot of training, and agencies have consistently expressed desire for a much more actionable reporting in ATSPMs, which is the next evolution of ATSPMs. And I'm going to show you how that looks like. So there's a great paper by FHWA that talks about performance measure for traffic signal systems, and it talks about the hierarchy of needs within the traffic signal agency in operation. And basically draws a pyramid, and it says that the first thing you need to take care of is equipment procurement and installation. After that, your next highest task is maintenance. And once that is all good, you need to focus on local control, after which you can then take care of the system control. So if you notice, the lower you go, the greater the impact. And if you have a very busy signal and you're only running it as a fixed time and you don't have detection, and is in the delay experienced by the vehicles compared to a perfectly, technologically advanced and signal is up to 20 times. If you have a good, if you have all the equipment and some of the approaches are broken, the impact is 10 times. If you don't have your local control set, you can double the delay of the signal. And then if you don't set up the system control correctly, you can increase the delay by 50% of the signal, which says that we really need to be having alerts in order. We need to first look at equipment and procurement. We then need to look at the maintenance, then local control, then system control, in that order, because if we tackle it in that order, we're going to have the highest impact with the limited resources that we have in the agency. So what we developed is we developed 100 machine learning algorithms that look at everything from equipment to maintenance to performance to optimization, and then they measure the impact to your citizens and then prioritize how you should tackle the issues. So with that being said, let's see, I'm just going to show you a quick example of how that looks like in action. So over here, we're going to go to a city. This is the ATSPM system. and it has a lot of menu option and performance metrics and a lot of those charts that you might have noticed in the previous slides. But that's not what I'm really going to show you. Is I'm going to show you this alerting with prioritization and setting the signal states based on the impact that these issues are causing to citizens. So if I was a traffic engineer in this city and there's about 90 signals or 95 signals, and I show up in the morning, you know, I know that some of these signals are not optimal. And I might have some maintenance issues. I might have some timing issues. I might have some operational issues. But it's very hard for me to assess that on a day-by-day basis. So what ATSPMs is turning into with these actionable insights, it is almost like an extra hand, another traffic engineer that goes through all of your ATSPM data and tells you what's going on. So let's turn on the intelligence layer that does that for you. It's almost like, it could be like your right-hand man that just looks at everything in ATSPMs and then gives you actionable insights. So we're going to turn that on. And when we do, all of these signals change state. So let's start from the good ones. So we hovered over this pie here. This pie is showing you all of the states. So there is 70 signals in the city that absolutely have no issues. These signals have good equipment. All of the maintenance issues are good. The controller is in good operational mode. There's no timing issues. Everything is looking good. That is a very comforting feeling as a traffic engineer. Now, if I turn to these, I have 5 signals that are in what's called degraded state. This means that something is broken in maintenance-wise, and it's impacting my citizens right now. It's causing enough problems where it's increasing the delay. These signals have maintenance issues that are not impacting your citizens, but could proactively be addressed so that they avoid impacting your citizens. And then this one signal here has a timing issue. The traffic engineer needs to address the time. And you're saying, well, that's great to know, but what can I do about it? So let's click on the first one here. So if we click on it, it shows you all of those categories. You remember that pyramid that I showed you? It starts with data, then it goes to equipment, goes to maintenance, operational, configuration, performance. And it says, I have a high impact issue under maintenance. And if I click on it, that says detector is stuck. It's an advanced detector number 2. And if you expand it, you can see that the TMC operator already acknowledged it, and it says that the loop was cut during the construction. So they're aware of it, and they are probably dispatching someone. Okay, so that's what the problem is with this signal. Now let's go, and then let's look at, I think this signal here. So this signal says that there is unusual constant call in phase 8. And there also says that there is PED phase on a constant call. So both of your phases, and when you expand it, it explains what's going on. So here it tells you why that's bringing it up. It says PED phase is being constantly served till the end of the day, which is not the same case the last week. So if you click this button here, it actually shows you what's going on. So here I can see, we're gonna make this, I can see that phase 8 is, which is a side street, is called the whole day long. And here above it, you can see that the PED is called all the time. And now if I switch the date to last Monday, the phase is acting normally. The PED is good. So last Monday, it wasn't doing this. This Monday, which is, no, this Tuesday, This was yesterday, I think. No, November 8th. Oh yeah, 15th is yesterday. So Tuesday, this is Tuesday. So yesterday it was acting up. Last Tuesday it wasn't acting up. And you can immediately see that the pet button is not stuck. So this is something different. Okay, so let's look at another example here. So we're gonna go back. So a couple of the cool things is this is the signal. These two signals have a timing issue. So let's look at what's going on with that one. We click on it, and it says you're good with maintenance, you're good operationally, you have a performance issue. And it says that from 6 a.m. to 9:30 a.m., you're running a mismatch cycle. So we're going to go and open it up. And we're going to go, this is, so you can see here that we're running around 100-second cycle on this signal. And if we go to this signal here, which is on the same corridor, and we're going to open Purdue coordination diagram and see what that one is running, you can see that that signal is running free at that same time. And it's running free, plan 14, and then free again. And this one, the other one, is running plan 2 during that time. So basically what it's saying, hey, you're not really coordinating at the same time. You're having a mismatch cycle lengths. You should be on this corridor at this time, be running the same plan. So it identifies that for you right here. And it tells you this signal is out of whack with the others on the corridor. All of the others are okay. It's this one that is not matching the schedule of all the others on the corridor. So with that being said, I've talked a lot. I showed you a lot of operational examples and showed you how ATSPMs are going from a lot of cool data that can be explored when you have time, extra time, which a lot of traffic engineers these days don't have, to I need to look at this early in the morning to figure out what is going on and where do I use my resources to create the biggest impact. Actionable items. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it back over to Chris, and then we're going to open it up for questions.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Sasha. And I'll just sort of summarize one philosophical approach, I guess, that Miovision has here, is that this is agnostic to the type of, or the brand name, let's say, of what you have installed at a given intersection. And, Miovision's belief in the past, or Miovision's the way we had done business in the past, you needed to have Miovision hardware to be a Miovision customer. Well, TrafOp has a different approach, and I would say really a better approach to that, and that's something that's now Miovision's approach, which is to say we want to be able to unlock this data for you regardless of the brand name that you've relied on over the years, and to remove the barriers of heavy duty hardware procurement, which has all kinds of pitfalls. It's expensive, it takes a long time, et cetera, especially with delays that we're seeing in the industry right now. Something like TrafOp really wants to play nice in the sandbox with everything that you have already installed at the intersection. And again, to the degree that you make things better, whether it's through loops or through any detection company additional installations across the intersection, the richness of what you see here only improves. So it's a very cooperative approach. It's a very open approach to providing all of those insights across a network. And I know from my former life, there were certain places where the correlation between red light running and split failures was so beautifully hammered home through SPMs. An adaptive network that wasn't doing what you wanted it to do, perhaps because there was a missing piece of detection, was hammered home through SPM. So it can be used on all of those levels, as Sasha showed that pyramid. You think of that baseline equipment insight that you might get all the way up to, hey, you think you're coordinating this thing really well, whether it's an adaptive platform or not. but perhaps you're not. So it really does. The way I like to put it is it has the intersection raise its hand and tell you that it has a problem, as opposed to a member of the public doing that 3 weeks after they saw it for the first time when they finally get around to asking. So yeah, that's how we view the SPMs and the value that they have. And obviously it's been a great, the Bay Area has been a great adopter of these. So feel free to ask any questions you might have, and we'd be delighted to answer them.
Excellent. Thank you, Sasha and Chris, for that presentation. Yeah, if you have any questions, please feel free to post them in the chat. We'll go through them in the order in which they were received. While those are anyone's drafting up questions they may have, I did have one announcement come in after we got started from the Western District. The joint ITE International and Western District annual meeting is in Portland next year, and the currently abstracts are open. The deadline for those are November 29th. So be sure to get your abstracts in before then.
Kevin, did you say when that the event is itself?
I have the website. It's August 13th to 16th at the Oregon Convention Center in Portland.
Okay.
And additionally, thanks to Terrence for posting that image from our icebreaker. It's a very interesting sign from New York City where you have different arrows saying yes, no, where you can.
I have to share my screen for 1 second here if I could. I got to show you. I'll show you one of the things that I walked into in my former life. Nothing wrong with this signal, right? I think that the green arrow would have been at the top. So we had a slightly different. I don't know how this got installed, but these were the sort of things I had to fix back in my former life. So.
Was that arrow? Was that actually the red phase arrow, or did someone swap the lenses, or you have to turn the whole thing upside down?
I really don't know. I don't know what happened. All I know is that once we found out about it, we dispatched our crew to fix it right away. So.
Yikes. I'm not seeing any questions in the chat. Do we have any questions from the audience that anyone might just want to ask verbally? Oh, there we go. So Suho Park asks, the quality of the analysis is only good as the data the SPM or Miovision has. What is the source of the data? For example, how is the system collecting live data on pedestrian volumes at an intersection? So
in terms of pedestrian, physically counting pedestrians, Miovision has the ability to do that through Miovision's detection. I think what Sasha had showed there was sort of pedestrian actuation. So that's something that's being drawn from the high-res data files on the controller. It doesn't tell you how many there were, but it tells you how frequently the call was requested.
Excellent. Thanks for that insight. If there's any other questions, feel free to give a hand raise react right now, or just unmute and ask. I'll give it another.
One thing I would just add to Kevin there is that, whatever your detection type is, so let's say it's loops, we're downloading the high-res data files from the controller. So we're getting detector hits based on what's going on there. You're able to get, counts at the intersection, volumes at the intersection based on sort of where those loops are cut, where they're assigned, and, the overall timing and phasing scheme of the intersection. So there are counting solutions. Miovision has one where we're physically counting vehicles doing whatever it is they're doing through the intersection, tracking them through the intersection. So if someone went straight from a left turn lane, that would count as a straight. But yeah, we're really, the way to view something like TrafOp would be all of the data that is being collected and just is sort of hidden inside the annals of the controller is being analyzed and unlocked, and then really curated, you might say, to be more actionable.
Well, excellent. Not hearing any other questions or seeing anything else, I think that brings a conclusion to this meeting. If anyone does have any questions, feel free to either send them to us and we can forward them to Chris and Sasha, or I don't know if you guys if you can share your emails or other contact information.
I will put my email in the chat right now, and yeah, feel free to reach out. We'd be happy to sort of, if anyone has any questions, want to see a demo or whatever, we'd be happy to do that. we believe obviously in what we're doing, and certainly want to support any projects that happen in the Bay Area for sure.
Excellent. Well, thank you both so much.
Actually, Nick, right?
Sorry?
In the central section. I know Nick Karch is right. So
yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us for an excellent presentation. Thanks to the Central California District for joining us. Don't forget to vote, submit your abstracts, all that good, warm and fuzzy stuff. So with that, I will conclude today's meeting. Thank you everyone for being here.
thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
All right.